We have a great Washington, D.C. We, as you probably know, we're going into Memphis and we're going into some other cities, and very soon we're going to go into Chicago. It will be safe for the World Cup. If I think it isn't safe, we'll move it into a different city. Absolutely. We'll take the world. If I think it's not, it's actually a very fair question. If I think it's not safe, we're going to move it out of that city. A little bit dangerous for the World Cup or for the Olympics, you know, where they have Olympic overthrow, right? But for the World Cup in particular, because they're playing in so many cities, we won't allow it to go to, we'll move it around a little bit. But
Soccer's world governing body is sending a strong message to President Trump about the 2026 World Cup games. The vice president of FIFA reacted to the president's claim that he can move matches out of U.S. cities that he considers dangerous. FIFA's vice president said football is bigger than any country.
With all due respect to current world leaders, football is bigger than them, and football will survive their regime, their government, their slogans.
What did you make of Donald Trump's comments the other day about possibly...
Which ones?
Good answer. The ones about possibly moving games, World Cup games, out of cities that he doesn't appear to like.
Yeah, listen, I mean, if I have to react every time a politician makes a statement, whether it's a president or a senator or a congressman or even in my country, quite honestly, or even in Mexico, then I wouldn't be doing my job because I'd be focusing on what these guys say.
Donald Trump just said that if he thinks a World Cup city in 2026 is unsafe, he'll absolutely move the matches somewhere else. That's not how this works. Thanks to everyone returning to the channel. If you're new here, hit subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss future breakdowns. Trump's claim triggered a sharp response from FIFA officials who reminded him it's their tournament, not his. But here's why that statement might actually push FIFA to lean harder on Canada and Mexico. Because if one country's chaos threatens global confidence, organizers will shift elsewhere quietly but decisively. Trump's comments and FIFA's immediate response. When Trump said he'd move World Cup matches from unsafe U.S. cities, he wasn't vague. He specifically mentioned places like Chicago, often pointing to Democratic leadership as part of the problem. He brought up crime statistics, saying if he believed a city wasn't safe, the games would be moved. That kind of political framing immediately blurred a clear line between government policy and global sport organization. The World Cup is not a campaign rally, and FIFA reminded him of that within hours. Victor Montagliani, FIFA's Canadian vice president and the president of CONCACAF, was asked directly whether Trump could realistically pull that off. His reply was deliberate. He said he doesn't spend time reacting to politicians because football is bigger than any country. Put another way, presidents come and go, governments rise and fall, but FIFA operates outside domestic politics. Montagliani added that they're focused on preparing the 16 official venues already set in Canada, the United States, and Mexico. The plans are, for all practical purposes, locked in. These venues have been confirmed for years, and their infrastructure is under active construction or finalization right now. That's the reality Trump brushed over. FIFA doesn't give individual politicians authority to move matches. Stadiums are chosen through a detailed, multi-year vetting process involving security audits, infrastructure evaluations, and local logistical agreements. Once those slots are allocated, changing them isn't like changing a campaign stop. It's a chain of international contracts, sponsorships, and broadcast planning extending across continents. Montagliani's background makes that stance even more interesting. He's Canadian, not American, and his leadership carries a distinctly global tone that values stability over political rhetoric. In short, FIFA's top North American figure isn't taking orders from Washington. That contrast matters. Trump spoke like a property developer trying to reassign real estate. Montagliani responded like a diplomat managing an event watched by billions. FIFA's response wasn't emotional, but institutional, a message that organizers, not national leaders, control the tournament. And yet, while that sounded like a straightforward boundary, it opened a deeper question about perception. Because the World Cup isn't just a sporting event. It's a reflection of the host's image to the world. So when Trump talks about unsafe cities, he doesn't only challenge mayors or governors. he indirectly questions whether his own country is ready to host the world. And that's where this starts to ripple far beyond the press clip. Now the story changes direction. The clash wasn't just about who has authority, it was about who inspires confidence. And that leads to the bigger problem. Even if FIFA ignores Trump politically, the circumstances he's describing exist. Crime, polarization, security concerns, those are real. The controversy spotlighted an uncomfortable truth about America's role in this tournament. While Trump tried to sound decisive, his comments exposed how fragile the U.S. hosting environment has become. The political climate around U.S. Hosting the United States won the right to host most of the 2026 World Cup years ago under very different conditions. Back then, Trump himself signed a letter assuring FIFA that athletes, officials, and fans from all countries would be welcomed without discrimination. Fast forward to now, and that promise feels shaky. The BBC recently reported a mix of rising political violence, anti-immigration crackdowns, and territorial disputes between Trump's administration and local governments. National Guard troops have been deployed in major host cities such as Los Angeles, while deportation raids and ICE operations have sparked massive protests. Instead of welcoming the world, America is bracing itself. Those optics are disastrous for a global event built on messages of inclusion. The same BBC reporting highlighted worsening visa processing delays, with many international fans facing waits of up to a year for simple tourist interviews. For most developing nations, getting clearance to travel to the US for games could take longer than the tournament itself. Unlike Russia or Qatar, which both introduced fast-track visa systems for fans, the US hasn't done that. Under current policy, even approved applicants undergo social media background checks and additional screenings. It's bureaucracy that tells fans, "We don't trust you." Layer onto that the domestic situation, protests, assassination attempts, and nearly 500 mass shootings last year, and the line between politics and safety starts to blur. Trump's promise to move games from dangerous cities wasn't framed as a public safety measure. It was partisan signaling, but regardless of intent, it reinforced the perception that several host cities aren't ready for global crowds. Cities like Chicago, Philadelphia, and Los Angeles have faced troops deployed under federal order. For FIFA, an organization obsessed with stability and optics, that image hurts. Fans are already frustrated. Ticket prices for the 2026 tournament have soared compared to Qatar, with some opening match seats fetching over $2,000. Combined with inflation and travel costs, many supporters see a system rigged for the wealthy and geographically lucky. European fan groups and Latin American supporters have criticized these costs publicly, arguing the event's spirit of global access is being undermined by politics and profit. When you add visa uncertainty to the price barrier, the world's tournament begins to look more like America's private event. All of this corrodes international confidence. When FIFA officials talk about football being bigger than governments, they're also defending the sport's reputation as neutral territory amid chaos. But neutrality requires that hosts provide an environment where fans, players, and media from every nation feel safe and welcome. Right now, that's increasingly difficult to guarantee in the United States. A hyper-polarized political landscape means any policy decision can become a flashpoint. If protests erupt in one host city, the global conversation shifts instantly away from football and toward U.S. politics. That's not what FIFA wants in its biggest tournament in history. The 2026 edition is the first expanded to 48 teams, spread across more countries and time zones than ever before. It's marketed as a symbol of unity, but unity can't survive if the host nation itself feels fractured. Montagliani's remark that football will survive any regime wasn't just poetic, it was a polite warning. It implied that FIFA's allegiance is to the game, not the government hosting it. If a political figure jeopardizes that stability, FIFA's response won't be to argue. It'll be to adjust quietly. The broader implication is clear. FIFA's faith in the US is conditional. They'll stage the matches they've promised, but they won't risk the tournament's image for domestic politics. If the United States keeps appearing unstable through protests, crackdowns, or inconsistent travel access, FIFA has options. Canada and Mexico are already part of the arrangement. Every sign of dysfunction tilts more attention toward them. For now, FIFA is saying the right things about shared hosting. But the undercurrent is unmistakable. If global confidence falls, organizers won't wait for permission to adapt. That's the tension underlying Trump's World Cup comments. He wanted to show control, but the reaction exposed how little control national leaders actually have once a tournament becomes global property. Now, whether he likes it or not, FIFA holds the power, and they're watching the political climate closely. Why Canada and Mexico might benefit FIFA's public dismissal of Trump's threat didn't mean there wouldn't be movement behind the scenes. The Sports Pro report confirmed that FIFA is already considering shifting some match slots because of heat or television schedules. That detail matters, because the ability to adjust for logistics opens a door to adjust for politics. FIFA can say it's about player welfare or broadcast alignment, but the result would be the same. Fewer high-profile matches in volatile U.S. cities, and more play north or south. That approach protects the tournament without turning it into an argument about governments. Canada and Mexico both present cleaner optics. Toronto, Vancouver, and Monterrey have all scored well in FIFA's internal security audits. They have stable political environments and cooperative municipal leadership, something U.S. organizers can't guarantee right now. FIFA officials know television partners care about two things above all else: uninterrupted play and crowd safety. If protests or curfews threaten any of that, they'll quietly shift events to venues that reduce risk. Those shifts wouldn't need presidential approval. They'd just show up as logistical refinements in FIFA's press notes. Canadian venues in particular are positioned for expansion. Vancouver's BC Place has hosted Olympic events and Women's World Cup finals without major incident. Toronto's BMO Field recently underwent upgrades that FIFA partially funded. These sites already have transportation links aligned with international airports. Their security protocols involve coordination between local police, the RCMP, and FIFA's own Global Risk Unit. None of that requires National Guard oversight. In short, Canada is ready for big crowds without a political cloud hanging over every operation. Compare that to the United States, where local authorities might be caught between federal orders and community unrest. In Los Angeles or New York, protests could trigger lockdowns faster than organizers can reroute buses. Each headline about unrest becomes another reason broadcasters and sponsors ask for backup plans. That's where Mexico also becomes valuable. FIFA can spread pre-tournament training camps, group stage matches, and fan festivals across Guadalajara or Mexico City, which have long histories of hosting international events with consistent turnout. Mexico's security challenges are different, but they're predictable, tied mostly to geography rather than partisan tension. The optics benefit is enormous. The more FIFA leans on Canada and Mexico, the easier it is to frame 2026 as a truly continental event. It lets the organization emphasize unity while steering clear of domestic political storms. Canada's calm political climate and friendlier visa systems align with FIFA's core branding, welcoming the world. For fans who remember how chaotic past American policies were, entering through a Canadian airport or northern venue would feel safer, even symbolic. FIFA could market that reassurance without ever acknowledging the U.S. controversies directly. This shift could also strengthen Canada's cultural position within world football. Historically, Canada's role has been secondary, hosting qualifying matches or youth tournaments. But this moment could redefine that. If more teams base their camps in Ontario or British Columbia, Canadian tourism and sports infrastructure will gain long-term credibility. FIFA's communication strategy could spin it as efficiency: favorable temperatures, streamlined transit, no visa bottlenecks. Yet underneath, it's crisis management disguised as optimization. Mexico benefits in parallel. It retains a passionate football base, modernized stadiums, and supportive local governments. The political narrative there is less about polarization and more about cooperation with FIFA. Mexico's organizers don't have to maneuver around unpredictable leadership comments or sudden security theatrics. They've framed their role simply: be reliable, deliver facilities, and avoid drama. The reward could be more matches or pre-tournament events shifted southward if any American venues become contentious. In essence, Canada and Mexico represent FIFA's backup plan that doesn't look like one. They offer operational safety, political neutrality, and consistent public sentiment, all things the US is struggling to deliver. So while Trump grabs headlines about moving games, FIFA may already be calculating quieter moves of its own. The tournament's balance could adjust subtly: more northern and southern fixtures, fewer American exclusives, all justified under non-political terminology. Canada's steadiness might end up being its biggest competitive edge. The world will still tune in, but the symbolism will have changed. The safest ground for global football might not be under the stars and stripes. Every time politics overshadows sport, FIFA looks for stability. And right now, stability lives north of the border. That's not a knock on American fans. It's a reality check on governance. The World Cup belongs to the world, not any one leader. And if that means more matches land in Toronto, Vancouver, or Monterrey, most fans won't complain. They'll just be happy the games go on without headlines dominating the field. Tell me what you think. Should FIFA strengthen Canada's share of the tournament if U.S. cities keep facing political tension? Or should they hold firm on the current schedule no matter what? Drop your thoughts below. I'll pin the most nuanced take. If you found this breakdown useful, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you're first to catch the next update. And if you want to see how Canada's calm contrasts with the global circus around big events, watch the video on screen next.